organization as Johnson and Johnson, MCED, Mycoseats, CK Birla Group, and Endurance Technology. Since last 2 years, he is working as a director of Innovation and Incubation Center. Also, he has contributed in academics while conducting regular sessions in FIP, FDP, then leading the Center for Innovation Incubation in Kavitri Benabai Chaudhary, North Maharashtra University, Jalgaon. Then also member of state level on-job training and internship subcommittee, then membership of Maharashtra State Responsibility Research Innovation, then task force of facilitated more than 30 MOUs and developed simplified SOP for OGT internship. So I welcome Dr. Rajesh Jawalekar, sir, and I would hand over the session to him. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Am I audible? Hello? Am I audible?
Yes,
Okay, good.
yes.
So, good afternoon, everyone. So, at the outset, thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. Rajesh sir has already given my introduction. So, in fact, I have joined academics after working for almost 28 years in industry. And since last 2.5 years, I am in this role of Director Innovation, Incubation and Linkages. So today we are going to discuss about in context of national education policy, that is ADP 2020. In context of that, what are the things which are being done for skill enhancement? Like we are going to discuss about internships, OJT, and of course we'll touch base upon AEDP, that is Apprentice Embedded Degree Program. I will not be spending much.
Yes, Javadekar, sir.
Sir, yeah. Please, sir. Am I audible?
Yes, sir. आपला येतोय सर.
एक मिनिट.
आता कट होतोय आवाज सर. नेटवर्क इश्यू वाटतो सर.
कोणाकडे म्हणजे माझ्याकडे?
हो सर. क्लिअर आवाज येत नाही सर.
एक मिनिट. Am I audible now?
Yes, sir.
हॅलो.
हा येतोय सर आवाज.
आवाज येतोय ना? क्लिअर येतोय?
हा सर क्लिअर येतोय.
ठीक, गुड. मध्ये जर समजा नेटवर्कचा काही इश्यू झाला, तर काइंडली जस्ट सेंड मी ऑन द टेक्स्ट. Any of the participants can just write on the text box.
तुमचा व्हिडिओ बंद करा सर. व्हिडिओ बंद केला की थोडा आवाज क्लिअर येईल सर.
I have made a presentation.
Javadekar, sir.
हाँ sir.
Sir, your volume is very low.
Very low. Okay.
Yeah. It's normal now. My computer volume was low. So you can close the camera, sir, because connectivity issues there, I think so.
Okay, fine.
हो ही तर जॉईन झाले पण सर बरं
You can start, sir. I have given your introduction.
मध्ये
Sure,
जॉईन
sure.
झाले सर.
So I'll share quickly a PPT which I've done, and then probably we'll come to the policies. Is my screen visible to everyone?
Sir, PPT is not visible.
No, sir.
Only screen is.
Okay. Is it visible, sir, now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, today, as I said, we are going to discuss about in terms of NEP 2020, what are the things which are happening in terms of skill and competency development. So, as in my introduction, it has been given that I've worked with several industries. So, what I've done is I have basically will be talking to you in terms of market context. म्हणजे आपण चर्चा करत असताना मार्केटचा सिनेरिओ मार्केटच्या कॉन्टेक्स्ट मध्ये आपण बोलतो तर बरेचशा मनात बरेच आपल्या मनात हे प्रश्न येतात की NEP 2020 का एकदम अचानक गरज पडली किंवा मग स्किल एनहान्समेंटवर आपण का एवढा जोर देतोय तर एक थोडीशी त्याच्यात मी काय केलं माझ्या प्रेझेंटेशन मध्ये किंवा इंट्रोडक्शन सध्या करंट मार्केट सिनेरिओ काय आहे आणि फ्युचर अपकमिंग काय आहे आणि आपण फॉरवर्ड पाथ कसा घेतलेला आहे अर्थात हा सर्व कॉन्टेक्स्ट जो आहे हा NEP 2020च्या अंतर्गत इज मराठी ओके और अ मिक्स ऑफ मराठी एंड इंग्लिश म्हणजे थोडंसं ते आधी सुरुवातीला विचारून घेतो सो दॅट everybody understands Marathi. Marathi is everybody is comfortable, or we have someone who would like to have it in English. Anybody can prompt me. Hello. Is Marathi okay with everyone, or should I keep the session in English?
English, sir, English.
English. Okay. Great. Thank you so much. So, as I said, today when we are going to have this discussion, so basically our focus is going to be on what are the skill and competencies development in terms of NEP 2020. So what I've done is I have made my presentation into three parts. First part is about the current market scenario. What is happening in the market? And then we will be looking at what is the future and how we are going to work on the forward path. So if you look at this current market scenario, see, what are you seeing in this? Like if if you look at 1980 scenario, see 1980 scenario, you will see that there is one seller and there are multiple buyers. Since this is an online session, so probably we'll not be able to interact much over the everybody is muted. So I just try to explain this. If you look at this 1980 scenario, the seller is one and buyers are many. That means two buyers are there. It was more of an internal market, more of a licensed run. I still remember, just to share with you, I still remember in my childhood days, way back in 1978-79, when we were doing the construction of our house, I remember that we used to be allocated the cement bags through the Tehsil office. So we had to, make a booking. Tehsil office was allocating the bags, cement bags. When we brought our first scooter, I still remember that, Priya, the Bajaj Priya scooter when we brought, it came to us after almost 5 years of waiting period. That means maybe my dad had booked it somewhere in 1975 and we got the delivery in 1980. That means you can imagine 5 years was the waiting period. So this was the kind of market scenario because most of the youngsters, they may not be realizing all this. But this is what the situation was. Now what happens slowly when we see how the 1990s market has been. Now, what is the difference that we are seeing in this? The difference which we are seeing over here is that, earlier there was one seller and two buyers, means multiple buyers. But here we are seeing there are two buyers and multiple sellers. So today this is what is happening. You just, all of a sudden, even going to your, you just walking into a store, you think of buying a two-wheeler and you just go for inquiry. Okay, you visit 2-3 shops, they'll immediately record your number and they will immediately follow with you. Sir, what happened? Which bike you would like to take? Sir, we do have a finance scheme. No issues. Even if you don't have money, just pay 10%, 90%, finance is available. What I'm trying to tell you, that this is kind of market which is, market is moving. So this sea change has happened after 1990s. And you all know this from closing from license Raj to an open economy. And we all must have studied, we all are, we have been into academics and we have been experiencing this also. That time Prime Minister, Finance Minister, Sri Manmohan Singh ji, what he did, he introduced the LPG, that is the liberalization, privatization and globalization, which happened in 1990. So what happened? Customer is benefited more in this market. And we can see that it became like, Indian market, it became a global market. So a lot of foreign companies have come in. So there is a boom in economy. And what is happening in the entire competition, the customer gets benefited. The quality of the product has also improved. Earlier it was like, whatever is there, you have to buy it. There was no choice. Can you believe there was no choice of even when you go for buying a vehicle, there was no choice of color. Whatever lot has come, you have to take it. Otherwise, then again you wait for months together. But today, the market scenario has changed. Now, what do we see after this? Now, what is 2000 and above? What are the current phase that we are going through? We are talking about in today's era, we are talking about artificial intelligence and all kind of. So what's happening? Can we predict tomorrow what is going to happen? Probably it is very difficult to predict what's going to happen. So that is why we have said probably uncertainty is the only certainty in today's market scenario. This is how it is highly volatile. They call it as a VUCA word. If you go to any of the corporate, if you interact with any of the corporate senior leadership team, they call it as a VUCA word. Highly, V stands for volatile, uncertain, ambiguous, highly competitive and ambiguous. Means one cannot look into what's going to. So, in this VUCA world, how do we get ready for this? How do we get ready? Because ultimately the challenge is going to be our task is as a faculty, we have to make our future, our generations which are going next 20 years, 30 years, because children are the future of the country. So how do we make them ready? We just going through some of the realities, the business realities, as I said, 1950s and 70s. Doing business itself was a big challenge. It was more of a license Raj. The 70s and 90s, it was more of a union Raj. If you typically look at some of the movies, the old movies, you'll find, there's a lot of strike which is going on, and factories are there are strikes which are happening. But today, what happens? Today, there is no strike. You may hardly see any strike. Of course, there are certain areas there are strikes, but you'll not find typically which was existing few years ago. I still remember, I think somewhere in 85 or 86, when I was in Chhatrapati Sambhajinagar, I think Paitan, one of the HR manager, Paitan, it's hardly 50-60 kilometers from Aurangabad. There, a manager was brutally murdered because of this union, issues. The HR manager, if I'm not mistaken, it was aristocrat Luggage. He was brutally murdered way back in 85, 86. That was the kind of militancy which was there. And even the famous case about 10 years ago, if you remember, the Maruti Udyog. Now, Maruti, you know, in one of their plants in the north, what had happened? In Manesar plant, there was a big instance which had happened, and one of the manager was the manager was, he was stabbed to death. So that was the kind of, probably, the industrial relation. So probably today we are saying it is more of a, it's not that kind of militancy is not there, because people have accepted change. People have accepted change. Like, the education, probably because of education, because of information which is floating around. So people are now accepting the change. So 1990s and 20 plus, it was more of a talent attraction and retention. I'll just share with you some of my, because see, when I'm sharing I'll be sharing the personal experiences also with you. Today, one side we are saying कि job नहीं मिलता है, job नहीं मिलता है, we don't get jobs, and opportunities are not there. But at the other side of the story is many of the companies they say we don't get the talent. See, companies don't want working hands; they want talented people. When I was when I was serving in when I was serving in Ahmedabad, I still remember we had our headquarters in Ahmedabad and we had 5-6 plants in Ahmedabad. My managing director used to be behind us. Get me good people, get me good people. And at senior leadership positions, literally we had to take them, we have to show them, we have to take them around Aurangabad, because the guy who's coming from Bangalore, Mumbai, Pune, for him, migrating to Aurangabad itself was a big challenge. So we had to take him around to the city, we have to take him to the pro zone, we will show him how the shopping complexes are there, how the schooling is there, how the city life is. So what I'm trying to say is that as an employer, we used to sell them. For placements, we used to go for different institutes and try to find, who are the the talent. What I'm trying to say, one side we are saying that there is a scarcity of jobs. The other side, the industry says that there is a scarcity of the right talent. So, how do we run and win the race? So I've just given one small, portrait over here, which says consistent improvement by understanding the opportunity, and that is what change. So change is the only constant. Probably if we don't change, probably we'll not be able to win the race. So if we want to win the race, we'll have to change. And that is what is happening in our education also. Probably unless we change, if we stick to our old methods, I'm not saying it was bad, but probably it was good in that context. Today, probably we need to be more innovative, we need to be more adaptive, and we need to change ourselves. We need to adapt to our latest technology. We need to adapt to our changing needs of the market. And that is how this skill enhancement, competency development, this becomes very, very important. And that is how, the concept of internships, concept of on-the-job training while doing, it is not just extended only to earlier only probably the engineering courses or the technical courses or the ITI courses. Technical oriented courses had some part of internships or apprenticeships. But today what has happened is the under NEP 2020, we are trying to push, this OJT internships is mandatory for all the degree programs and the postgraduate. And few of the programs are totally like, one complete year is on apprenticeships. That is apprentice embedded degree program. So these changes are happening because it's not just the theory which is important, but it is also important the practical in hands-on experiential learning. These concepts of internships, OGTs, and apprenticeships have been included. So studies indicate that there is a low availability of talent as the biggest constraint for growth of companies in India. Only 15 to 20% shortage of middle level managers. As I said, managers are not available for the companies to grow. Of 2.2 million graduates every year, only 15 to 20% are considered employable. Now, this is a very alarming, figures which are there. Of course, these were there more in terms of engineering context. Means out of 100, maybe only 20 are employable. When I am saying employable means they will get immediate placements and but probably 70 to 80 they need to groom themselves. They need to get ready. And that is where, I always push one concept that finishing school. We need a kind of like, in our curriculum, be it, be you at taluka level or district level or a metro, please have some kind of orientation before the students go for the placements. The central training and placement department, they conduct different kind of communication skills, teamwork, different kind of technical skills in terms of MS Office, MS Excel. These are basic training needs which are there. So we need to finish them, like finishing school in the sense. Apart from the academic, your skills also need to be enhanced. Cream of premier MBAs are lured by international companies. Of course, placements do happen. Like today when we see some of the colleges are really very good because they maintain that standards and the placements are also very good. Like if we talk about IITs, you'll never find an IIT graduate who is not got a placement. Of course, the placements are coming down over there also, but still, they'll for sure they'll get a placement. Salaries in India were the fastest growing in the world, and after recent recession, there has been a slight decrease. Just some of the news, because I thought, because when I'm preparing for your discussions, so probably I found some of the relevant slides, which whatever I have spoken just now. Pursuing engineering once a fad, now a dilemma. Only 10% of 15 lakhs graduates are likely to land in job this year. And this news is, I think, somewhere in 2024. This is October 2024. I just came across this, I thought I'll share with you. You can see here, clearly it says that maybe 10% of it are expected to secure the jobs. Today, we have seen, I'm sure you are from different states. Today, it's like a herd mentality. Most of the students, they are running after computer, fine. Computer. I'm not saying it's a bad field, but what happens is the institutes at times where they're getting the education, they are not updated. So merely a degree is not going to help them. What kind of projects they are doing, what kind of internships they have done, what kind of practical exposure they have got is very, very important. We should help them to get a placement, proper placement. Similarly, if you look at the other news, economic survey, the Hindu, which is one of the reputed papers, which says that of 23-24 says that only 51% of the graduates are employed. This is again, somewhere in July 2024, some survey was conducted, and this is what the news article is. So, this we are talking in general. Employable means, okay, you can consider them for some kind of job, like right from entry level jobs to maybe assistant manager, managerial jobs kind of. So this deterioration is probably happening. And again, I'm sorry to say, but we all are experiencing, especially after COVID times, the attendance in the classrooms is also dwindling day by day. And with the internet, probably students are feeling that they have a lot of information which is there, what they are going to probably learn. And this absences is also, so it's our challenge. How do we make our sessions more interesting? How do we make our, see, like for example, like me talking in front of you, just giving a pep talk, but rather if I put some proofs, rather if I put some valid data in front of you, so it becomes more interesting. So similarly, like how do we, what is our training methodology? What is our teaching methodology? How do I create that kind of pull factor? Because push factor probably will not work in terms of, yeah. When I'm saying push factor means like some, of course push factors are also essential. Like for example, sometimes we say that okay, you should have minimum 90% attendance, 95% attendance mandatory, 70% attendance is mandatory. This is called as a push factor, where the students will come, enroll, sit in the class. The pull factor is how do we make our sessions more lucrative? How do we create that kind of trigger? Is it through some competitions, maybe some interactive, some small exercises, good projects? Probably that kind of pull factor we need to create so that the students get more and more. Similarly, some again, uh, uh, some again, this is about education. Like here also, if you see the underlying word, 90% of the same. So several use are there. So in this same context, what has happened is because of this market situation, the market realities which are happening, what has happened is the internship OGP in the 2020 has been introduced. It's not just like it has come all of the somebody has thought and they have added this. If you look into the NEP 2020 policy, the National Education Policy 2020 views that the purpose of education system is to develop good human beings capable of rational thought and action, possessing compassion and empathy, courage and resilience, scientific temper and creative imagination with sound ethical morals and values. This are taken from the the guidelines of UGC guidelines. And similarly on that front, if you see, there was a GR which was released way back in February. Of course, there are several GRs which have come. I'll be sharing some of those also with you during the sessions. So there are several GRs which have come. Now, GR are what? GR is just a government resolution which gives you a guiding, a guiding principle. That okay, what is to be done, what is not to be done. So some guiding principles are laid down. It is the responsibility of each and every institute and each and every teacher to understand these guidelines, the essence of these guidelines, and we need to implement it in two spirits for the benefit of the students and for the benefit of the institute also. So, looking at this, now what is the future? One interesting question, like when we are looking at the future, let's look at like what's upcoming. Now the students, are they looking for a job or a career? This is a very important aspect which we need to help the student to understand. Why I am coming in pursuing this course? Is it just for obtaining a degree? Or it is just to get some job? So typically most of your students, I'm sure, They might say, how do you want to do a career? Probably they don't know there is a difference between a job and a career. So what is the attitude of a job seeker? An attitude of a job seeker is typically, I just quickly. So if you look at this attitude of a job seeker is work as much as you are worth to get paid for. Two punch and one line. This is nothing but like, typically I've seen, let me share with you, when we were working in the industry also, I've seen some people, youngsters also, they'll come in the morning, they do the biometric, work whatever has been assigned, they'll not go out of the way, they'll do the mundane routine work, and there what we call two punch, one lunch. One punch in the morning, one punch in the evening, so this is a kind of a mindset. No learning and development, lack of knowledge and skills. A guy who has become an engineer maybe 10 years ago need to learn. Today, let me share with you most of the professional bodies, be it medical, be it engineering, be it chartered accountants, each professional bodies have made it mandatory for the professionals to attend certain seminars, at least minimum 2 seminars, 3 seminars in a year. Like for example, if you were chartered accountant maybe 15 years ago, but 15 years ago GST was not there. So what is happening in the taxation? What is happening in the capital gain? What is happening in the equity market? And how it is going to implicate the taxation? What is happening in the income tax rule? So the chartered accountant was passed out maybe 15 years ago. The institute has made it mandatory that at least 2 times, 3 times, whatever they must have laid down, that we need to attend these seminars so that the certification continues. Same is with the medical profession. What we are trying to say is that continuous learning in development is very, very essential. But the guy who is working with a job attitude, probably he will be happy. Just, because he is happy with whatever is, he's got a job. So the guy who is working with a job attitude, he will learn only if somebody tells him. On his own, he may not. So it's more of a doer attitude. Why should I take the risk? There is a fear of failure. What happens if I fail in the job? And because of this fear of failure, because of the doer attitude, many times the person with the job attitude, he will not grow in his life. So let me share with you, out of the 51% also what we said are employable, maybe 50% or maybe 30, 40%, 50% of the boys, the boys and girls, the students probably will be with a job orientation. So what we need to do as faculty members, we need to create that career orientation in there. And I'm pursuing a career. I'm not just studying here for my job. And when we say career, so what is the difference between a job and a career? Let's look at what is a career attitude. If you look at this career orientation, he is a person who works with passion. एक जुनून के साथ वो काम करता है. He acquires the desired knowledge and skills. He is inquisitive. He will try to search. He will try to do some research on his own. Try to understand. You will be surprised. I have seen that many a time when the students used to come for interviews, freshers especially, they didn't even knew what is the role requirement. The job requirement is. Maybe 50% or more of them didn't even visit the company's website. Today, when your students are going for placements, they should at least visit the website because from there the information is already available about the company, about the products, about the job. So what happens, the career seeker, a person who wishes to pursue a career, probably his orientation is different. So there is a thirst for learning. I learn. Let me do it myself. I will do it, then I will learn. Throughout the career, there is continuous learning. And then developing the competencies. So here we talk about skills, and skills will lead to development of competencies. We'll also come to what is competencies and how to develop those competencies. But typically, this is probably this must have given you a fair idea like what is the difference between a job and a career. What are the industry changing paradigms? See, today, earlier days, loyalty was important. But today, what industry is looking at commitment. When I say loyalty was important, means if you see, typically if you talk to your parents, those who are working in private sector, maybe they'll say that okay, I've joined one organization XYZ and I've served there for at least 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. Throughout their life they have served. Maybe 30 or 35 years they have worked in one same company, same department, and they have worked together, they have joined the company and they have retired from the company. But today, what we are saying is, and company used to also like, oh, company used to say, very nice. This person is loyal, he's working with us. He is working, then his family members are also joining the organization, so they are very happy. So there, the companies used to also give importance to loyalty. But today what happens? Like for example, let me share with you. When I was sitting on the other side of the fence, when I was in industry, and we had to recruit, let us say there's a guy who has joined as an accountant, a cashier. Simple example I will give. A guy has joined as a cashier maybe 30 years ago in my organization. He's a very nice guy, very loyal, very trusted. He's a commerce graduate. And over 30 years, when he joined there, maybe his salary must have been 2,000, 5,000, whatever. But today, after maybe 25, 30 years, his salary will be minimum 50,000. Okay? So the question will come, against 50,000, what work he is doing? So when we look at this kind of, the companies will think that probably this job can be done by a guy with maybe lesser salary. So will this accountant, I'm not saying that company will remove him, company will continue him, but what will be his growth rate? I cannot make and his growth will also be limited. So what company is looking? Company is not. I'm not saying loyalty with a must. Loyalty is must. When I say loyalty is integrity, but commitment. So companies are looking at like letting work for 2 years, 3 years. Companies are today are happy even if the guy works for 3 years and he gives delivers with a commitment. Seniority versus meritocracy. Today we are saying a lot of youngsters, those who are like coming from good schools, coming from good education background, coming with their good leadership skills, probably they'll be becoming head of the departments. Today we'll see, you look in and around your, wherever you are situated, you look at the private companies, how the market is. You'll find that the factory manager, he may not be a very qualified M.Tech from IIT or so. Probably he'll be maybe a engineering graduate, but he has that skills and he has the competence, he has a meritocracy due to which he has become the head of the department or head of the unit or head of the section. And probably there are senior person, those who have joined before him are reporting to him. So this is how it happens in the market. Seniority in terms of length of service is overruled by meritocracy for leadership positions. Social fairness to contribution fairness. When I'm saying this is in terms of salaries. You will see today, do all engineers get same salary? Some engineers will work hardly 17, 18,000 rupees a month. Vis-a-vis some engineers will get 25,000, 30,000, 40,000, at the start itself. And then the growth will happen. So I was just talking about social fairness versus contribution fairness. So if you look at a person maybe who joined as a commerce graduate, he is working over there for the last 25, 30 years. His salary will become from 5,000 to 25,000. How much? 50,000. But similarly, there is another guy who has joined doing the same organization and he has taken additional responsibility. He has moved in taxation. He has acquired some new knowledge. Reading the taxation department, he is in the GST department. So definitely his salary will be more. So because of his contribution. So this is what happens like in this market. So we talk about the future is evaluation of talent man. So how do we develop this talent amongst our students? Just to I just give a pause. You can type.
The PPT नहीं दिख रही है सर. Hello.
That is what I felt. One second. Just let me reload it.
Yes, right, sir. This day.
Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
So, okay, fine. So let's continue. So as I said, how do we develop the evolution of talent? Because see, we need to as a mentor, as a coach, as a guide,
हेलो। सर माईक अनम्यूट करा सर.
सॉरी, मी मधी मला वाटतं इथं कनेक्शन युनिव्हर्सिटीमध्ये काहीतरी इश्यू झाला होता. सो ना स्विच टू माय मोबाईल connection. So probably, hopefully, this should not disturb now. PPT दिसत आहे का? Is the PPT visible?
हो दिसतंय सर. येस.
Okay. So I think we were on this slide. So the future, the future evolution of talent management. So what is the old reality and what is the new reality? See, people need companies. When companies were formed, so obviously people need companies. But today, with the new reality is companies need people. When I say people mean the talent, machine, Thank you. I'm extremely sorry. I think there was some serious connection issues which are going on. So just quickly continue. Is the PPT visible? Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Good. So employees are loyal and so jobs are scarce, talented people are scarce. See, today also the companies are saying that there is a scarcity of talented people. Employees are loyal and jobs are secure. पहले क्या होता था कि लॉयल्टी होती थी तो jobs were secured. But today what is happening? People are mobile and the commitment is short term. If you see most of the private sector people, they'll move within 3 years. Earlier we used to say 5 years is a good time. Take your graduate and move. But today, people are saying even if you work for 2 years, 3 years, companies are happy. Employees define the rewards. The rewards are customized to the employee needs. When I'm saying, like employers define reward means there was a typical structure. The manager will get this package, kind of. But today, what happens if the talented person is there, he will demand. Like for example, you must have read that the salaries are running into crores also at leadership level. So employer determines how and when the work will be performed. But today the employees are demanding more of a flexible work culture. So flexible work schedules, work from home, etc. etc. What I'm trying to say is that companies are ready to adjust provided they get the right talent. So basically today companies are struggling to get good talented people. So what is the forward path? So let's look at when we are talking about the forward path, let's look at talent, about attitude, we talked about skills. So overall, if we see, so it is successful in terms of thank you. So I think probably the coordinator will be have to be like there are some connection issues which are happening. Because the moment I lose the connection, again I will connect with all of you. So David McClelland, he published an article in 1973 entitled Testing for Competence Rather than Intelligence. Yeah, so it was not just the, is the screen visible? Okay, no voice.
Yes, sir.
Okay, good.
मॅडम सर ते मुलीची यादी रेडी नाही का तुमची जुनी पाठवून देतो ते मुलीची यादी सगळे जर वेळ लागत असेल तुम्हाला सांगून
So it was not the scale and the attitude, but David
सर तुमचा आवाज खूप ब्रेक होतोय सर. आवाज येत नाही सर क्लिअर तुमचा.
okay.
सर माइक ऑन करा सर. हॅलो. हॅलो. हॅलो सर. हॅलो. हॅलो. सर आवाज येत नाही. हॅलो. एक 5 मिनट्स ब्रेक रहेगा क्योंकि सर का थोड़ा नेटवर्क इश्यू आ रहा है, तो एक 5 मिनट्स का ब्रेक रहेगा.
Okay. Yeah, participants, I really apologize for whatever, there is a week today. I don't know, some network issues are there. So we will extend the session if required. So, बस करते होते हैं. Am I audible? Somebody can just type.
Yes, sir.
Achha, is the screen visible?
Yes, sir.
You can see the PPT?
Yes.
Okay, good. So we were here actually when we left due to the unstable connection. So we looked at the scarcity of talent. We looked at what is a job in a career. We looked at a person the success depends on his competence. And we looked at what David McClelland had done some research, and then he said, okay, skill is not enough, but we should be looking at some other combinations also. And these combinations, the word was called as competency. So it is not just the skill which is important. So what is the definition of competency? When we look at Spencer and Spencer's definition, it says that a competency is an underlying characteristics of a person which enables him or her to deliver superior performance in a given job and a role or a situation. Means what? Like, for example, see, we are talking about we talked about skills, we talked about attitude, and this competency is something which is a combination of all. It's an underlying characteristics of a person. Means it is something which you cannot see actually. So typically, if you look at competency, so it is called as an iceberg model. When I'm saying iceberg model means 1/3 you can see, but 2/3 you cannot really see of a person. Now, what is that 1/3? 1/3 is nothing but the skills and the knowledge. Skills are what? We say he's a good communicator. That means his communication skills are very good. It is skill. He is a good, a computer operator. Computer operation is a technical skill. Correct? He has scored good marks in the exam. That means his knowledge is good. But now tell me one thing, we see in our life that the success of a person is not just his skill and knowledge. It is something more than that. And what is that more? That is what we are looking at, the competency. So the underlying, the 2/3, and what you're able to see is only 1/3. The 2/3 of it is actually lying below the water. That is why it is called as an competency model. And when we look at this competency model, so we say that self-concept, attitude, traits, and motive. So these differentiate between the performance of the person. Typically, I'll give you an example. See, for example, a parents, to the mother, there are twins who are born. They both are male twins. let us say their name is Ram and Sham. So Ram and Sham, both are twins. They're born to the same, mother. And they go to schooling, they go to college. And consider a hypothetical example that let us say they go to the same school. So whatever love and affection that they have received, whatever training that they have received is same. And Ram and Sham score same marks in the exam. Same subject, same marks. It so happened that they complete their engineering in the same field from the same college, and they have, as I said, hypothetical situation, they have scored same marks. They walk into a company. Let us say they walk into Raymond's in Jalgaon. And in Raymond's factory, there on the shop floor, there are different lines. Let us say each line, production line is having 10 similar machines. So one line has 10 similar machines and other line has 10 similar machines. Same kind of operation, same efficiency. And Ram is made in charge of one line and Sham is made in charge of other line. Now, if you review the performance, the output, maybe after 6 months, 1 year, will the performance be same of Ram and Sham? See, their knowledge is same. They have scored same marks. Their skills is same. Will their performance be? Somebody can type also, because I just to understand, you guys are listening. The performance be same of Ram and Sham? Are the participants active or still on a break? Yeah. So some people have responded yes, no. So why this no? Because it is something which is beyond, yes, their perspective towards work, their self-concept, their motives, their attitude. So this makes the difference, and that is called as a competency. So now competencies, can it be developed? Yes, competencies can be developed. Competencies definitely can be developed through systematic efforts. If you look at, to develop competencies, what are required? Resources, capabilities, and then depending on the resources and capabilities, the competencies can be developed. And then the core competencies. The level of difficulty, if you see the value increases of a person when he develops the competency. But the level of difficulty also to achieve that competency is, as you go higher and higher the ladder, the level of difficulty also increases. So anyway, so what are the 3 P's what we said to sustain the challenge? Is perseverance, passion, and pride. Passionate perseverance, persistent pride, and pride with wisdom. So, developing the competencies, there are some typical models which are there. So one model which is called as a PDCA cycle. This is not my own. This is a Deming cycle. And this Deming cycle talks about PDCA. Plan, do, check, act. Plan, do, check, act. Plan, do, check, act means do the planning, execute, check, revisit, and replan. If you typically go into your Google and you'll find, so PDCA, that helps you to develop the competence of a person. So whatever the weaknesses are there, so can we do this plan, do, check, act? See, let me share with you this. After the Second World War, After the Second World War, we all know that Japan was nowhere. It was in shanties. Today also we are seeing that because of the Hiroshima Nagasaki bombing, the atomic bombing, today also the Japanese population is facing a lot of tremendous challenges. The next generations are also getting affected. But today, I still remember in my childhood days, we used to say German, made in Germany. German products were considered as a very sound and good products. But today, what has happened? Today we talk about Japanese product. How this change has happened in Japan? The change has happened because if you go into the history, there were three philosophers, three teachers. They were Edward Deming, Phillips Crosby, and Duran. These teachers, two were from UK, one was from US. They did continuous teaching in Japan, and they continuously trained the people on continuous improvement. And this Deming cycle, which I am displaying on the is nothing but it is also called as a Deming cycle, PDCA, that is plan, do, check, it, which will help to develop the competence. So in the end, I will say that human beings, it is never 1 + 1 is equal to 2. It may be 11, it may be 4, it may be something else. Because human beings, as we say, are like tea bags. Human beings are like tea bags. You don't know your strength until you get into the hot water. Tea bag का महत्व इतना ही होता है जब unless you get into the hot water, you will not know the strength of the bag. So with this, I would like to say thank you to all of you. And now let me shift, like when we have understood, we talked about skills, we talk about competencies, we talked about, the different aspects of what the war for talent, we talked about employability. And then we talked about how this employability is being worked on through OGT, internships, or under NEP 2020. So here I'm going to share with you, setting this context, setting this tone. We will quickly go through internships here. I'm sure most of your students, you must have started doing internships. You must be facing a lot of challenges also in terms of getting the internships opportunities. Many times the students are also not serious. So how do we cope up with this? How do we simplify? Because there are several GRs which have also been issued. So let's look at so we, without taking a break, since our net was down in between, I will quickly run through the internship, what we did in university. Again, this is more of an experiential sharing. So in terms of internships, I'll open the internship. See, there are several GRs which are there. Some of the GRs, for example, this GR. Let me share with you. See, this GR typically, if you look at, are you having the copies of the GR? If you look at, this is the GR which is dated 20 February 2024. If I run into, I think this must be around 28 odd pages or more. Sorry, it is maybe more than 100 pages. So this GR is, I think, 100 plus pages. Have you seen this GR? Okay, good. Now, when you look at this GR, I'm not saying that, but there are nice to have things. But what we did is we tried to focus on which are the must areas. Similarly, UGC has also released one GR, one another GR. So some guidelines, UGC has also given certain guidelines in terms of internship guidelines. These are again maybe 100 plus pages. So what we did, we studied all this and we have created our own guidelines for internships. Yeah. Is the are the guidelines visible which I'm displaying, the policy that we have created? Somebody can just text me. Are the guidelines visible? Okay, great. So what we did is, if you see these guidelines, see, friends, let me share with you. So this 100 plus 100 pages, guidelines which were there. So what we did, we tried to, these guidelines, we studied them very deeply. And then we said that, okay, let me have at least, which is minimum, which is must. Without which we cannot compromise. So we created a guideline. Let me share with you. These are just 1 page guideline along with 5 to 6 annexures, which we did for our PG students. This I'm talking in 2024 that we had implemented. If you see this guidelines, here we have said this we did for our postgraduate program PG students of for the internships. So here, if we see what we defined the objective that to provide guidelines to affiliated colleges and on-campus schools for uniform and effective implementation of OGT or project work or on-the-job training internships. So here, the scope, it was kept for PG students of KBC NMU campus schools and affiliated colleges. We gave simple guidelines in terms of administrative guidelines for the host HAI and the campus schools. So we defined like, okay, each HAI should have a training and placement coordinator. And then the assistant coordinator from each same stream supported by 2 student coordinators. Now, all these guidelines were also given in the GR and everything. Then TPC should ensure that internship project work opportunities are made available to the students, and the principal is also expected to support them. Then TPC, that is a training and placement coordinator, will maintain a uniform database for EM. Similarly, the database of internship, the database of supervisor, and the mentor. preparing and maintaining the list of potential recruiters and past recruiters and their contact details. So basically, again, what are the roles? What we try to do is we have tried to put that into very simple terms, like, which people will be able to implement. One credit calculation shall be, we have considered one credit as 45 hours because since it was more of a field related work. There. So here we said that so we said disciplinary issues, if any, okay, fine. So what we did is we have simplified those guidelines. Then we gave guideline to the students that try to explore opportunities for internships, OGT and project work to the report and report to the TPC. Students are required to follow formal dress code. We also gave them some guidelines about the dress code. Adhere to the code of conduct and the safety norms of the organization, and seek approval from from the supervisor before publishing anything information about the company. Then submit report to the mentor within timely framework within 15 days. And this report also we said, okay, you can write as per your wisdom, but in that we should cover like what 3W1H, again what the internship persons involved, how the project was executed, and what were the learnings. So typically we gave like these are the 5 must things that should be there in your report. Then demonstrate professional attitude and adhering to time management and discipline. So these were some of the Then we gave guidelines for internships and OGT project work evaluation. So typically we have 60-40 method, like 40 marks were for internal and 60 was for external. So internal we covered like either attendance and learning outcome, and external we covered the conduct and report submitted by the student. So here again, we gave certain simplified guidelines like adherence will be documented by the student as per the annexure A, annexure B, C, and D. Accordingly, we created different annexures like in terms of how to measure the learning outcome, the feedback, overall project work done, shared by the internship supervisor. And then we also gave like, what the students need to secure minimum 40% of the marks for passing. And in case of carry forward, again, it will go as per the university norms. And the certificate will be issued by annexure E. We also gave the format of the certificate. Then timelines, we say that, okay, internship PG not less than 4 credits. It will be of after completion of the second semester. This was for the PG. So PG after completion of first year, basically this internship guidelines were meant for them. So, see, if you see this, this was brought down into one page. Because since it was like, if we circulate only the, like we have seen that many of the institutes, what they have done is they have just circulated the GR, and merely circulating the GR will not help because people will get confused. So what we did, we tried to bring them into one platform that this you must do. If you're doing something more than this, we are okay. Now, if you look at this policy we also, what we did, this was not only done in English, but it was also done in Marathi. So we created the SOP in Marathi also. Marathi version visible to all of you, which I'm trying to display on the note on the screen. Is the Marathi version also visible? Okay, great. So what we did for the simplified, because since we all know that in affiliated colleges, probably it's not just the English version, but also the Marathi version is important. And accordingly, we also English and 1.5 page in Marathi. Now, let me share with you what is important. See, remember one thing. We always say doing good is not enough. You should be able to report good also. It means you should be looking good also in terms of like reporting. So these policy which was there, which was circulated, the English version and the Marathi version, this was done last year itself, and we have successfully implemented this. This one page, because we simplified it into one page, people were very happy because at least they get certain guidelines which are in a structured way. And normally, if you see, if it is 100 pages, nobody will read. If it is one page, everybody will read. And in this policy, then what happened is we also created annexures to it. So let's look at like, what were the annexures? So annexure A. Yeah, participants, extremely, once again, like, I really sincerely apologize. I don't know, there is some serious issue which is happening over here. But nevertheless, what I'm going to do right away is I'll be sharing with you, all of you, the so that, before the internet goes, so I will sharing with you the policies which are there. So what we have done basically, if you have seen the, earlier policy which was there, so which was quite, uh, you know, uh, quite exhaustive, 100 pages GR. So hardly any people read that. So what we have done is we have kept it a simplified version. So I've shared the, the English and the Marathi version of our simplified policy with all of you. What I suggest is, like, I'll be also sharing my contact number with all of you, so that, in case if anybody has any time, any questions related to the policy, you can definitely give me a call. So I'm also, before actually, so this is my number, and these are my mobile numbers. So apart from this, again, I'm with this policy, I'm also sharing with you the annexures. So we will see, these are annexure A, B, C, D, and E. Yeah. So so basically, I've just shared the policies with you. So we will continue with the session. And in case there is a break, then probably I will not be able to reconnect again because of the internet issues. But nevertheless, what we'll do is I'm again sharing my screen. We are going to annexure A, B, C, D, and E. Here, what we have done is we have standardized it. Like, for example, in any, if you see, there's a information about, like, what the students are, which internship they are doing, from what to when they are doing. And annexure B is about the internship work. So let's look at, like, the annexures which are there. See, in annexure B, what we have given is, like, okay, he gives his attendance. And if you see the part section 1 of each annexure, we have standardized it. And we have said that this will be filled in by the student. So that, there is a bare minimum work which you have kept for the uh, for the faculty or the supervisors. Let's look at annexure see, now this NHRC also, like, whatever traits we have given, if you look into the UGC guideline, they have given almost 15-20 traits. So what we have done is we have studied all those and we have put this into hardly, the 6 traits. Only 5 traits that we have given. And here also, if you see, there are close-ended marks which we have given.
सर स्क्रीन नहीं है आपका
The D is for the
सर
supervisor.
स्क्रीन इज नॉट शोइंग
Sorry,
स्क्रीन नहीं आ रही
screen is
आपकी
not visible.
या नॉट
बॉटल है मेरा
Okay.
यहीं पे मैं आ रही हूँ 2 मिनट में।
Okay, let me share it again.
यार आपका इंटरनेट का प्रॉब्लम है बहुत स्लो है
Well, now,
नो 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 सर नो
Acha, tell me one thing. Have you received the attachments that I've given?
हेलो
Hello?
यस सर
Have you received
Yes, sir. Received. Hello. Hello.
आई थिंक इंटरनेट लॉस्ट
तो इसमें से लोग छुट्टी लेके भी बैठे हुए हैं
पार्टिसिपेंट को सूचना है कि अभी ऑलरेडी जो रिजर्व पर्सन का टेक्निकल इश्यू के कारण अभी उनका नेक्स्ट सेशन नहीं होगा, तो आपको आप मीटिंग में से आप लीव कर सकते हैं और पार्टिसिपेंट। अभी आपको कल ही आफ्टरनून सेशन में 2 बजे आपको ज्वाइन करना है मीटिंग।
थैंक यू सर।
Okay,
सर, थैंक यू।
okay,
Thank you, sir.
thank you.
थैंक यू सर।